Welcome to the Innovators Insider Podcast. I'm Mike LaFleche, the professor, joined by my friend and colleague, Richard Doyle, the user group guy. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Michael. I'm actually on vacation while we're recording and posting this today. Got a couple of weeks off towards the end of the year. I like to do that. I save up my vacation time and then use it around those holiday days off, so you're not using up as much vacation. Just enjoying things out here in Las Vegas. We've got a great show today. We've got lots of great guests today. We're going to be talking about sustainability today, and we're going to be talking about it in a bunch of different ways with each of our guests. And so along those lines, I guess let's go ahead and get started. Let's bring in Bernard, and let's bring in Professor Robert Meier Staude. Hello, Bernard. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Richard.
It's our pleasure for sure. So you why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Bernard, and how you got involved with with Robert?
So yeah, my name is Bernard. I'm part of PTC's Onshape education customer success team, based myself out of Munich in Germany. And so I'm very passionate about my job because on a daily basis, I'm able to talk to inspiring educators who are transforming the classroom experience by using Onshape. And I was so glad when I had the chance to be connected to Robert because I have myself a passion for sustainable design, and seeing that in front of my doors, basically here in Munich, such great projects are done in Onshape. It's really very fascinating and motivating for me. So with that, I would like to introduce Robert, who's based out of the University of Applied Sciences in Munich.
Well, hey, hello. Robert. Yep, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks to you. It's good to talk to people all over the world about sustainability and about surfing the roads. One more, and about good education.
Yes,
that's the most important thing.
So Bernard had sent us a little note, and he sent us a link to a project that your students had worked on, the electric longboard. Can you tell us a little bit about that project?
Yes, I can show it to you. I just had a test just before the show, but I don't think, here we are. It's a bit big for the desk. There's some electronics below it, and we have really big wheels, so great fun. We have what's it in your language? Should be around about 20 miles per hour, which we can go, so quite fast. And it's a little dangerous. And I thought of how to go to work in a way that makes fun and ensures that you arrive smiling. So if you're not on holidays, still you should start your day fine. And to do this energy efficient in an efficient way. And yes.
And that was just, I'm sorry, that was designed by your students, right?
Yes, it is. I'm always looking for projects where the students can do their work, not too complicated, but also a little sophisticated, so they can learn on the job. That's the idea. And so I have two keywords. The one is that I'm only, so in fact it's English. It's the inverted classroom. So the students get all the information they need, but they study what they have to learn. They study themselves, and they work in small groups so they can talk to each other and discuss. And only if they need some help, then I come in and I act as a coach. So they say, we don't know how to solve this, and then we discuss it. And most of the times I can help them. But in fact, when you start discussing, they find the solution themselves. So that's the one thing. And then we have it's quite complicated we have 3 months time to do this, to engineer this, in fact. And so we have different tasks and different groups, and they solve their own problems, and then there comes together the whole system. And what we then use, because I don't want the people only to get in their task very deep, very specific, so they, in addition to that, we all come together in the lecture, and we do something we call peer-to-peer teaching, so that the small teams tell all the other teams what their problem was and how they solved this. So, for example, how they managed to design the axle, and then we go to the Onshape construction tree, and I use this feature, I use that feature. I had problems at that point, we solved it that way. So I make some specific points, I make them clear where it's not clear enough for me, and in advance I tell them what I want to emphasize. And so we have this inverted classroom. In fact, I do not work as a professor, just as a coach, and we have this peer-to-peer teaching that the students teach the students. And in the beginning, they make just big eyes and what should we do? But in the end, it's always a great experience for everyone.
And I'll bet they come out at the end feeling just really great about themselves. That sounds like a fantastic program. The 3-month deadline, if you stop and think about that, out in the industry, companies establish a deadline for a particular project, but quite often they extend those deadlines. Your students don't get that same opportunity, do they?
Yeah, sometimes we meet the targets, and sometimes I can adjust the targets, so it's not so hard for us. We don't have the countdown for a specific day that everything has to work. And I know from my time in industry that it's always hard to meet those dates and targets. So it's easier for us. And normally if we need one more week, okay, then we need one more week. And if it's a good project, the students will come and they will solve it. Yes. Mm-hmm. But anyway, it's, we did this in 3 months, and I would say with the tools we had 3 years ago or 5 years ago, we would have been happy to solve the thing within 1 year or something like that, because we can use we have no specific systems we have to use. We don't have to install anything. We don't have to take care about the licensing and all the licensing problems you always have. I spent years of my life with licensing, and that's always the time you spend where you don't have any fun. Okay, exactly. And we don't. So and we start working on the first day. I said, do you have your laptop with you? Do you have a Surface or your iPad or whatever? And I give them their login and we start working. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, a lot of people forget that that's a big part of that gets taken away from your design time is managing all of the things. And some of the images we had up on the screen, it's very easy to have any kind of laptop you want, Chromebook, HP, whatever it is, and share it with everybody. The collaboration of working with each other simultaneously, as I think you've mentioned in your blog post. We'll put a link to the blog post that is up on the Onshape website for the
I'm doing some other classes with other software you have to install on the system, and it's nearly impossible to explain to an Apple computer to work with an engineering software that doesn't fit. Yeah, right. And so with Onshape we solved that problem.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
using all the Apple stuff myself because I can now. It's pretty much the only reason I mean I love them, but everything, they're expensive sometimes. But it's a nice way of working. I'm a photographer on the side, so I use all the photography apps, and they work well with the Apple ecosystem. So it's really nice to be able to choose whatever device you want. But speaking about the device that you designed, though, the longboard,
Yeah.
20 miles an hour.
Yes,
It looks
sir.
like it's a nice wood deck. It looks like.
Yeah, that was the we I don't know the word in English. Our Lastenheft, so where all the objectives are put together.
Okay.
In German, it's called the Lastenheft.
That sounds.
And
I like that word better than specifications or anything. Yeah.
yeah, specifications. That's it. Okay, the specifications. No, and we put in the specifications that this one product has to fit to the objectives of a circular economy. And so I didn't want to have. Oh, yeah, we decided that together. We wanted to do something special, and also we said, okay, it has to be resource efficient, because that's my name as a professor, resource efficient engineering and design. So there is no materials inside, or very little, which cannot be separated and recycled. So we have a pure wood deck, and we have very little different materials. So you can just put the aluminum to the aluminum fraction, the wood to the wood fraction. Okay, and then we have some copper cables, a motor, and a little bit of electronics, maybe 10 or 20, 40 grams of electronics, and that's it. And everything is designed in a way that you can change the parts. You can not only recycle, you can repair, and you can just take away the parts that will not work anymore. So we even have plastic that you can make. You can what's it? Biodegradable plastics.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So there's a lot of ideas in there, and that's why we have a real nice wood deck.
Yeah. So any company, any engineer doing product design can think the way you and your students did with the longboard, right? I mean, they can think of trying to find sustainable materials. They can find things that will last longer or be repaired. This list of things that you outlined is very good for everybody listening to this podcast, I think, in any kind of product design, right?
Yes, for sure. It's very important. If you
Yeah.
if you think about that, then the way we live today, it will not be possible for a long time, a very, very short time, in fact.
Yeah.
So, and it's possible. You can do it if you want to.
Yeah. It doesn't seem outrageously hard to think that way. It
No.
seems like an easy thing we can all do.
And it's great that you and your students are showing the world how it can be done.
Yeah.
Here's a link to the blog post. This was written by Bernard. You can get more information on the longboard project and more information on Robert and his students as well.
Did you have a little demo for us, Robert? I think you did, right? You were gonna drive it out or something.
Okay, I can go.
You bet. Thank you, Robert.
But it's
Yeah, we're gonna do something fun. We're gonna.
I think I have to walk out the door, and then I have to drive away.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, get it set up, and I'll get the next part of the show set
See
up.
you.
All right, thanks. All right. So we got a little demonstration here.
That's great. Hey, I don't know if everybody knows this, but I actually have a scooter myself. Now it's not one of those sustainable scooters. I've got a Razor E300.
Okay.
I live in a very large apartment complex, and the mailboxes are quite far away. So I use my scooter to check my mail, or to go over to the office to put money on my laundry card, and I tool around the complex early in the morning when the sun gets up. I love my little scooter. I'm going to have to look at something that goes a little bit faster, 20 miles an hour. Mine only does 15. So
yeah, mine was about 20. I had an electric longboard when I first started it Onshape. I have to pull out a few photos and add it to the post notes or something.
Yep.
But yeah, I had it covered in Onshape stickers, and I was able to get on the commuter rail, and then from the commuter rail, take my longboard into the office when we were in the old Alewife office in Cambridge, Massachusetts. It was that was the way to work.
Yeah. I took a video of myself. Well, I took a video while I was riding my scooter one day, but the sidewalks around here are kind of bumpy, so all you see is a jarring video of me scooting around the little apartment complex here. So
I think the professor is off. He's looks like he's down the hall and gone. So let's I'm gonna remove him from there. All right, that was fun.
Yep, that was fun. And what a project. And here, let me throw that banner right up there again real quick so everybody can see it. You'll definitely want to take a look at that blog post.
Yeah.
All right. So we've got some more guests coming in, right?
We do. We have, I believe, for the second time on the show, Elena Angst.
Just my first time, but yeah. Welcome. Really? Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks for joining us, Elena. I think we work together quite often, so sometimes my memories blur on which show or on what. And thanks again for joining us. Elena has been working with the PTC and Onshape team, and she's been working with us on a variety of projects. You may have seen some of her work on the model of the week, doing some of the beautiful renderings that you've seen. But Elena's also really into, the environmental studies, recent graduate at TCU. And, I thought we'd talk a little bit about how Onshape itself can be sustainable by the way it's constructed. Elena also wrote a blog on the topic. We'll shoot a link to that to all the attendees as well. But, maybe you can tell us a little bit about how you think Onshape is a little better, perhaps, for sustainability, and some other things, that you can do, like the real professor, shared with us earlier.
Yeah, definitely. So I wrote that blog post, like you said, and it kind of just outlines like why changing to a cloud computing software is a little bit more sustainable than on-premise software services. And so essentially, like, switching to a cloud computing software is more sustainable because fewer servers are being used. So it's transferring all of the heavy lifting to a data center site. And that data center sites are programmed to be as energy efficient as possible, because that is their sole goal and purpose. Whereas if your company is doing all of that heavy lifting, your purpose is to keep it up and running and making sure your programs are always working. So it's kind of a little give and take there to have it be put on the actual data center's plate rather than your own.
Right. And a lot of these data centers, like, you think about like AWS, right? Portion of their carbon footprint, they're being very meticulous in reporting out, where they're getting their energy and becoming carbon neutral and things like that, right? So things like that are also a benefit of doing or CAD design on cloud, because you get that sustainable benefit. Just the electric bill on a data center, is if you have your own data centers, as an IT and as a facilities person, how much you're paying for that data center and those servers always running. And like you were saying, if you're smart about load balancing and only using the resources you need, and of course Onshape is doing that because we're paying a bill to one of these companies, right? We have to be efficient, so we are efficient with our money, but it's also helping the environmental cause, right? Because we're not senselessly using, servers and things. So yeah,
exactly. And using like Onshape, because you don't have your own personal servers and you're like putting that heavy lifting off of your computer, you can use, like you said earlier, any computer you want. You can use an iPad, you can use a Mac, Dell, any sort of computer, because you don't need all of those heavy GPUs and things on your computer specifically, which also helps to reduce waste because you don't have to get the newest computer every year to help you support your CAD programs, because Onshape is not using your computer to drive the CAD program.
Exactly. Would you add anything else to what the professor was talking about with, what we can be doing as designers and engineers? Some of the things that we can do to reduce our own carbon footprint, or is there anything from the blog article you wrote that would help there?
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, just like circular economy is a huge one to look at when you're designing things, and designing things in a way where parts can be replaced instead of replacing the entire piece is a huge design process that's helpful. As well as Onshape specifically allows for like great collaboration, and you can go paperless if needed. Your 3D model can actually be shared to other people so that it can be used for a reference. You don't always need to print out documents. Your drawings can be shared via Onshape, etc. So it could be totally paperless if you wanted it to be, which I think is a huge step forward.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, these are great ideas. I didn't even think about those things, like the amount of travel being reduced because you don't have to send a field engineer. They can see things in the mobile app. They can use augmented reality to see how things are, positioned in sort of real life, So there's a ton of things that you can, maybe there's a Rev 2 of this blog post. We can list out some more things.
Yeah, totally.
The train is rolling now. There's a lot of ideas that are sustainable that you can use to help in your own life. This is great. Yeah. Well, Elena, thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, definitely read the blog. We'll put it in the show notes later on. But it's a great blog, and it's always great having you on the show, Elena. So thanks for joining us.
And before you go though, Michael, you mentioned that she graduated from TCU. Is that Texas Christian?
Correct.
Are you a football fan, Elena?
Yes, go Frogs!
I'll be rooting for the Frogs this week. Yep, you bet.
Yeah.
On to the national championship.
Yep.
Well, great. We have something in common there. We're both rooting for the Horned Frogs this year.
Yes, as should everybody.
Yep.
Awesome.
Thanks again, Elena.
Yeah, thank you guys.
All right. So yeah, that was enlightening too. So that just dawned on me, like there's so many sustainable things just by the way the platform is constructed, that makes it good for us, for all of us in the world.
One of the things that hasn't been mentioned here yet today, and who knows, could be later on, right of repair is something that's getting a big push right now. Because people are tired of having to return an entire unit to the manufacturer because a small piece of it is broken, and what happens to that unit when it gets returned? Who knows where it goes? So right of repair is coming up. I think that's going to be a big issue here pretty soon, where people have the right to repair their own equipment, whatever it is, whether it's electronic equipment, whether it's your car, and I think that's something that we'll start to see a lot.
Yeah, it's an interesting topic because as product design becomes more complex, it's a lot harder to stay up on this repairing things on your own. So it's definitely an interesting topic, and I know a lot of people can find a way, and to be prevented, it kind of is a sucky thing. So,
Michael, I see Robert's still here. I wonder, is he set up for his little demo yet, or?
We saw him go out the hallway, but we didn't see the other camera. So, if he wants to do that, we can make it happen toward the end of it, or we can put a video in after at the end, of it in action. But I think for the sake of the show right now, we need to move on to Alnis, though, because he's got a little bit of a demo, and he has some things that will tie all of this together, I think. But there's something that we want to do with him first is, first of all, welcome back to the show, Alnis.
Thank you so much, Mike. It's great to be back.
Yep. Always great to have you here, Alnis. Thanks again for joining us.
Yeah. But we should probably talk a little bit about what just happened.
It was huge. It was huge. And I'm so lucky I got to watch it live. I know you had, some scheduling issues, Mike, and weren't able to catch it live. I assume you've watched the replay by now, but
multiple times. So what we're talking about is Too Tall Toby's speed modeling tournament. And unless you've been living under a rock, you all know that our friend Alnis Smidchens has won that tournament, and with quite a bit of style, I must say.
Yeah, and it was a great finals, Alnis. You blew away the competition. And
I wouldn't say that. It was very, very close.
Well, okay, I'll give you that. One of the matches was pretty close, but even and I saw one of your opponents pretty much give up at some point during one of the challenges there. I think he knew he was beat at that point. And then the little demo you did with the spinning section view there at the end, that was awesome. It was like a touchdown end zone dance kind of thing. So that was great. So I'm so happy I got to watch that.
Yeah, it's, if anybody has not watched the Too Tall Toby CAD speed modeling tournament, you must. It's great entertainment. It's you're on the edge of your seat, watching this, and it's just wildly entertaining.
The comment section is like you say, entertaining. It's just a lot of fun to be there. It usually happens, on a Saturday morning sometimes. So, get up early, grab a coffee, and watch the tournament. So,
absolutely. So looking forward to next year's stuff with that. I think we'll be doing some more. So,
and a huge thank you to Toby for organizing such a fun competition. It's really well organized, super welcoming to people from all CAD backgrounds. So I'm so excited to have seen it happen, and I'm so excited to participate again next year.
Sweet. Can't wait to see some more Onshape in the mix too. So if anybody's listening, let's give Alnis a run for his money. All right, let's talk about the topic at hand. Sustainability. We're talking about different ways we could make Onshape more sustainable. In the product developer's hands, right? And anything we could do to help in any way. It's sometimes you don't need to develop a whole platform or product to help. You can just do a couple of simple things to get some ideas in front of people's minds. And I think that's where we're coming to you all in this, because you're so good at writing code very quickly and coming up with an idea and distilling it. It's just I would love to hear your thoughts on how this process led to you creating a custom feature, and maybe give a little demo of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And one quick thing about the earlier topic of being able to use older hardware to still do CAD, well, that actually is really close to home for me, because the way I got started with CAD was on this old Dell Inspiron 15R that I had for who knows how long. And that it could hardly run Microsoft Word, never mind a traditional CAD system. So I ended up actually taking Windows off of it, putting Linux on it, and I used it as my daily driver, and I was able to learn CAD with it and eventually put together a 2,000 part assembly on some really, really low-end hardware. So that's really kind of how I got into CAD, how we used it in high school. Yeah, so that I can definitely vouch for not needing high-end hardware and being able to use the old hardware you have for much longer for it.
That's awesome.
But sorry, the reason why I'm actually here, I have something to present, a demo. So let's go ahead and share screen. Okay, so LCA, lifecycle analysis. It's a very interesting topic. I guess what I should start out with is by saying this is designer LCA. So the same way we have designer finite element analysis, designer FEA, we also, well, we don't have it, but something that's kind of being thrown around here is the idea of doing lifecycle analysis at design time. So the problem is that manufacturing has a negative impact on the environment, but knowing this while you're designing for a product is really hard. The way they traditionally do lifecycle analysis is you send it off to a team to do, it's slow, expensive. It's not really like a thing that you can know right as you're tweaking a part. And what it is really, it's figuring out what the impacts of a product will be. That means environmental impacts such as CO2 emissions, water usage, and energy, as well as how much it costs to make. Well, with Designer LCA, it's real time and it's super easy. As far as I know, I don't think that it's been done in real time before. Now, how it works is you model something in Onshape, whatever you'd make in your part studio, use the set LCA material custom feature, and then you open up the Designer LCA table and it gives you the summary. So it's magical, I'd say. It's built using feature script, and the materials it currently has are sourced from Make It From, as well as some academic papers. Now for the actual demo. So let's go ahead and model something up really quick. I'm going to go ahead and just make a cylindrical shape like this. Oh, whoops. I managed to do a surface extrude instead of a solid extrude. And let's go ahead and add a fillet on the bottom just to make it look, I don't know, something like a bowl. Okay, perfect, like that. Now, I'm going to go ahead and shell it out just so it's a little bit more interesting. And there we go. And finally, I'm going to use the LCA material tool here. Now, what I do is I click the body that I want. I'm going to say what machining process is used. So let's go ahead and say this is cast or otherwise made through some process that doesn't produce scrap. Then I say what aluminum is made out of, or what cast iron or whatever else. Let's say cast iron in this case. And in order to see the analysis, I just open up the custom feature table over on the right side. Now I can see an estimate for how much CO2 this will release, how much water it will use, and how much energy it will use based on the amount of material used. So there are some limitations to this. It's obviously a very quick, rough estimate, kind of a pencil and paper estimate, if you will, except digitally. Now, there are some nice things here too. If you are working on a part and you want to see how your design choices will affect the end result, the end impact of it, you can, in real time, actually, as you drag around your extrudes and drag around whatever else you do, you can see the values for the LCA update in real time. So this is why it's designer LCA. It's as you're designing, you get real-time insights. Maybe it's not 100% accurate, but at least it lets you know whether you're going in the right direction or not with the thing you're working on.
Right. That's totally great. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, and as a bigger example, so say I had these parts I was analyzing for Mechanim wheel. Now over on the right side, I can see, oh, like if we used aluminum, then we would use this much energy, but if we use stainless steel, we'd use a bit more. Now, if we could get away with cast iron, then that would be a lot less energy, and a lot less CO2 and water. So the idea here is not so much that you have a perfect exact analysis of how it is end to end, but it's more to know which directions for the design might be more sustainable than others. So you can invest more time going in the right direction. Of course, there's also some important other information, such as how much stock material you'll need to buy and how much is scrapped. So that also lets you know about how much you might be able to recycle and how much might come off of the impact. Plus, there's a relative cost. So this is not like an exact cost in dollars. This is more like if this one costs twice as much as that one, you can kind of see that there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're looking for trends. You're looking to see, what will make sense. Seeing a nice kind of spreadsheet of them here almost, with it updating live in real time is beautiful because you can kind of understand if you pick this path, what your environmental impact will be, plus your costing a little bit too, right? Just to see if you're going up or down, right? It's totally something that helps you make better decisions at design time. It's I don't see any negative to it. There is more information. Yeah.
Yep. It's only positives. I absolutely love the comparison that you can do there. I think that's the best part of it right there, is having that comparison in real time. And I assume if you did the same thing with changing sizes, it would all update in real time, all those comparisons as well, right?
Yep. It's all real time, just like everything in feature script with custom tables.
Yep. Good stuff. And this feature script is available to folks right now, or?
Yes and no. So yeah, we definitely want to do some beta testing with it, especially before we just release it into the wild. There's also going to be a lot of exciting stuff on this topic at LiveWorks. So make sure to register for the LiveWorks conference in the spring. Yeah, but this is currently just kind of a sneak preview of something that we're kind of workshopping. And if you're interested in trying it out, you can get in contact with us. So you can contact me, Alnis, on the Onshape forum. It's just my name there. That's my username. So send me a message there or something, and then we can set something up.
Great.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for doing this, Alnis. It's much appreciated. Helps everybody. So you're awesome. Thanks.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, let's maybe we should bring everybody back.
Let's bring everybody back for a quick hello, quick goodbye. And while everybody's coming in, I will remind everybody LiveWorks is going to have an Onshape track this year, and so I encourage our Onshape users to go ahead and register. Come on out to Boston. Let's spend a few days together. Let's have some fun. Let's learn some stuff. Let's shake hands and meet face to face. I think it's going to be a great event, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, totally. LiveWorks. Nothing is as nice as Boston in May.
Yep.
It's gonna be great. Yeah. Boston is very, very nice in May. And it's also nice all summer too. So not so much in the winter, but unless you like that kind of thing. But yeah, definitely come to LiveWorks. It's going to be fun. If you remember what the old kind of CAD conferences that we all used to go to were like, yeah, that's what it's going to be like. So enjoy it, have fun. There's going to be a lot of partying, a lot of entertaining. There's going to be a lot of CAD knowledge being learned, a lot of topics, training classes.
A lot of great tech to look at, a lot of great exhibitors.
Yeah,
it's going to be great.
So we're wicked excited to have everybody in Boston.
And back to the just quickly to the topic for today. I think Robert and Alnis will be contacting each other very soon. I don't know, Alnis, I don't know if you've been keeping up with the chat there, but Robert's pretty excited about your LCA feature script, and I think you guys can probably end up working together here. So, Robert, you can catch him on the Onshape forums. Just look for Alnis; you'll find him.
Yes, I'll grow my hair again, and then we will.
And thank you again, Elena, for joining us as well. So just wanted to give the old Onshape wave to everybody, and hope everybody has a great rest of your year. This is the last recording for the year, so happy New Year to everybody. Happy holidays, whatever you celebrate. We hope it's a good one.
Happy birthday to me. I'll be turning another year older by the time the next episode comes out. So.
Yeah. The statesman, if you will.
That's right.
Yes.
Yep. The elder statesman. Oh goodness.
It's all right.
Thanks again, everybody. So long.
All right. See y'all later.
Thanks to you.